Excuse me, how are you?
Okay. I'm doing okay. Oh, here comes Frank. Which Frank is that? Unger or Marfia? Frank Unger.
Hello.
Hey.
Been a while.
Yeah. Just checking
doing,
the
Frank?
audio on everybody. Somebody had a problem actually hearing before. Jim is connecting to audio. Let's see if that solves the problem. How about now, Jim? Can you hear me?
Nope. It's Paul.
Boy, I'm late tonight, must be.
Yeah, right.
No, you're a minute early, dude.
Oh, that's right. How are all of you?
Okay.
Good to hear.
I'm trying to communicate with Jim there because I can see.
Can you hear me, Bill?
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I
that?
can.
I'm sorry.
I can hear you, Bill.
Which one? I looked down. Who said that?
Jim.
Jim.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, okay. I noticed that I was trying to write out that you had muted yourself. Okay, now that we got all of that taken care of, we'll wait for a few people to join us. What's the 272?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm showing this to Frank and Paul, and if I may want to mention it, but please take this down. I'll explain later. The author is Rachel L. Swarns, Swarns. Rachel L. Swarns, the 272. There's Frank.
Hello.
Okay, let's see. Everybody can see and hear Frank Marfia.
Hi, Bill. Oops,
Okay.
I just lost you guys, but I'm still on.
Okay, great.
Hi, Frank. I see you.
Yeah, what happened to my screen? Anyway, let me figure out.
We can see you.
Okay, mine disappeared. Here, I'll find it. Zoom meeting. There we are. Okay.
That's a new one.
You have to keep the monitor plugged in, Frank.
Yeah, and the mute is off, so let me make sure my sound is high enough.
And Norb is checking in. He's muted his mic.
Probably by accident.
It seems to me that Zoom changes stuff so frequently and without any kind of notice. It's hard to keep up with stuff. I was going to show some share screen things today, but after testing it out beforehand, it turned out it wasn't working like it did last time. So, well. We see the name Pete Garthy, and we see the name Norb.
And both are muted.
Both are muted.
He is no longer muted.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Pete. Yes, we can.
Hi, Paul.
Oh, there you
yeah,
are.
Sure.
I had trouble zooming in. It said I had an older version of the Zoom.
Oh,
Really?
So I had to update it, but it wouldn't complete the update. And then anyway, I had a lot of trouble getting on. And then it gave me 2 last names.
oh yeah, I saw that. Pete Garthy. Can you see?
Right. Looks
That
like
always
Dick's
brings
having
up-
supper.
Yeah.
That always brings up that question. How did you become known as Pete when your legal name was Don and is? We always knew you as Pete.
Yeah, I know. That's still a problem. Yeah, my legal name is Donald. Nickname of Pete. So let's see. I got to see everybody's picture here. This is goofy. I got someone's big picture here. I don't know who this is. Norb?
Yeah, we have Norb. Norb, his name up there, but he hasn't he still is muted. I don't know whether maybe he's got a new version or had to update it too.
Meeting alert.
Oh, there he is.
You know what I have to do?
You
What?
need to be in a
I
high
have to
chair,
accept that
Norb.
this meeting is recorded.
Oh, yeah, I remember that that was the problem last time. That we can see the top of your head there, Norb. So
The
maybe
what?
you want to adjust your camera there a bit.
Oh,
Or put a book under you. Oh,
There,
that's
Is that
better.
better, yeah.
can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear ya.
Okay.
We can,
I can't-
we can't see your chin, but we can,
I-
well, your
Is
mouth
it-
is just.
Was it in the right place? Is the camera still wrong?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
tilt it so your head shows, more of your head shows.
Oh, I had it
You're not a
down too
book.
far.
Little more, a little more.
A little more up?
Yeah,
A little more down.
Down.
well, up or down. I can see,
No, what can you, what do you want to see?
I want to see your chin.
Oh, so I need to, okay.
Other way. Ah, okay.
Oh, wow. Leave it
Oh,
there.
no.
There we go. Is that
All
it?
right.
No, that's not bad. We don't need to see your forehead,
Is
except for when you
Hey.
wrinkle it.
that better?
Yeah. I know what we should do sometime is put up our graduation pictures there for people.
Not a bad idea.
I expect Bill Gebhard will probably be joining us in a few minutes, but he always seems to check in late.
Okay.
Was he late for class?
You
Yeah, I
know
was
that?
working for Father Zaskowski.
You bunch of bums.
You know, I find it kind of interesting when I look at his background. There were some pictures that Jim Blanchard had found that Father Zaskowski had somehow took while he was there, or he might have been or somebody in that era was really good at photography. And there were pictures of him in his graduation era and his ordination and early pictures of his ministry. I always thought that was kind of interesting. I think he was really one of the older members of the faculty in our era.
Yeah. He went to school with my dad.
Oh,
My
okay.
dad knew him.
Ah,
He is a classmate of my uncle.
oh, really?
Participants to unmute
Mhm.
themselves.
Where did Donald Peter Garthy go?
Okay.
Now you're just Pete.
Look at
Oh,
that.
Pete.
Pretty good, huh? I
Oh, there we
corrected
go.
it.
Now I said it right.
Now I got it. I got a message that the host is not allowing me to mute myself.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Don't shut up.
No, did anybody else get that message?
No.
Usually what I do, what I like to do on a Zoom meeting is be on mute, and then I just, when I want to talk, I press the space bar. And
Yeah.
that allows me to talk.
Oh, wait a minute.
I
I'll
mean,
shut
that
you off.
unmutes me.
I'll shut you off so that. And I see Ed Swart. We haven't seen Ed in
Been a
quite a
while.
while.
Yeah.
Been a while.
Normally I'm not available on the first Monday of the month, but. this time I am.
Okay. Well, one
Frank.
of the items on our agenda is going to be the plans for our little lunch and get together. But while we're waiting for Bill Gebhard to sign in, I just thought I'd kind of update you kind of quickly on the dwelling place project. It's called the 2080 project, 2080 Union.
Oh, yeah.
That's the plan to build the houses on the what used to be our athletic
Oh,
field.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
You got a picture of that.
Yeah, I had that up there in the last update that I sent out. But in the meantime, it turns out that they actually started doing some of the plowing on the land. And so I got some pictures there, and that's what I was hoping to be able to share with you. But Tom Dalton, he lives right nearby there and has been our go-to guy when it comes to getting pictures of the changes there on the seminary grounds. So he got some photos of them scraping away the field out there, and my initial thought was they were sort of carving up some of the land there to get vehicles in and out of the thing, unless they're just going to start really from scratch and do all of the soil removal at one time. So that's what we saw today, and I'm trying to hear from the folks at Dwelling Place. There's supposed to be a press conference that was tentatively scheduled for the 24th, and the lieutenant governor was supposed to be attending that. And I was trying to figure out whether that was going to be the occasion for one of those ceremonial groundbreaking picture ceremonies. So we'll just kind of wait and see what actually transpires on the 24th or somewhere around in there. I think they were trying to work through the lieutenant governor's schedule. But that's kind of, so that's where we stand. The construction is underway on that final piece of our old stomping grounds.
No, were these going to be low income houses or just regular, whatever the cost is?
There, and I was hoping Dave would be able to kind of explain the whole, where things fit in there. I think it is low income, but below market rates, somewhere in there. And I would like to get more from him. Maybe when they put out a press packet or something like that, we'll.
Who actually owns the land right now? Is it still Samaritas?
No, I think there was that notice that I saw on Facebook a notice. It said we've closed. So there's some title switching and so on that takes place in that project. So I think this is just off the top of my head what I've been able to figure out. And it was kind of like there was a big question about who actually owns at the present time, who the title owner is of that chunk of land. I think they set it up in the form of some sort of now they call it a trust over there.
Yeah.
That they have, the trust may actually have owned it, a big chunk of that, and as soon as Dwelling Place completed the fundraising and went ahead with the purchase, I think that's what that we're closing notice was all about. That they, at least at this point, it is probably Dwelling Place or the Dwelling Place trust, land trust, that owns the property now. But I want to find out more about how that actually transpires, because Dwelling Place has a number of properties in Western Michigan that it's been responsible for converting into or sometimes building from scratch housing for low and moderate income people. So that's about all I know about all of the legal transactions that are taking place in there.
Is that part of Samaritas?
No.
So Samaritas sold it to somebody else, basically.
Right. I think they sold it to this trust.
Right.
Or they may have been part of it. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a real estate guy.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah.
But,
is it the plan for the housing to be done by next year, 2024?
Yeah, according to they were about a year behind schedule, mostly because I think the pandemic put a kink into things, and then the inflation factors and pushed up the actual cost of building the places. So they're just about a year behind their timetable that they announced when they put the project or announced the project actually 2 years ago now, in 2021. And at that time, they said they expected to have occupancy starting in 2023. I think it was even that they were going to have. Yeah.
Jeez.
So, and I know that part of the financing came through the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. So that may have been another key factor in getting the financial piece in place. So it is, and I don't know whether those improvements that they were now I've lost the title, Bethany Christian Services was proposing to do, that would link up the convent, the old convent, with St. Henry's Hall. They were planning to build another 4-floor structure in there. There would be a new building that would join the old St. Henry's Hall and what we knew as the convent. But I don't know whether that is part of what was taking, or this Dwelling Place was doing. So it'll be kind of interesting to see once we get some press material to see exactly who's doing what around there. I talked or sent an email to my contact over Bethany Services, and that was she's 6-8 months ago, and I think her indication was that everything was on hold for a variety of reasons. But so anyway, that's where that stands. We'll just have to wait and see what transpires in the next few weeks. Interesting thing, Tom Dalton sent me a message that he recalls somebody in his neighborhood, one of his old chums right around the seminary, said that when they were kids, before there was a fence, kids in the neighborhood used to kind of move on to the hallowed ground of St. Joe's. And at one point, he said, and this is all word of mouth, one of his friends told him, some of the neighborhood kids went onto the property and they noticed that some new goalpost had been put up. And they thought that was really cool. They went over there as kids and started tugging at or pushing or shoving the goalposts, and one of them fell out of the ground. And just at that point, according to this person, seminarians came rushing out of the building and chased them off the property into the neighborhood. Now the reason he said that was, another thing he said, Tom said he thought that fence was put up after he started there in 59-60. And I thought when we started or those of us in the class of 66 started in the fall of 1960, that the fence wasn't there, that it was the next year in the fall that was put up. I kind of vaguely remember, chasing softballs out into the streetway there, especially that area, I think it's Winchell Street at the back. And so it wasn't until a little bit later that the fence went up. And I said I'd check with the noted historian Norb Bufka to see whether, and I haven't had a chance to look at your book to see if there's a mention of when that fence went up.
It's definitely in my book.
It's in the book?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what it was, but I know it was up before I graduated, and I graduated in 61.
Right.
It was put up at least that last year or the year before.
Right. And I remember in our conversations, some of us recall the great deal about the what do you call that? The barbed wire at the top facing inwards rather than outwards.
Right.
So I've been trying to figure out, look through some of the old recorders that are around somewhere just to see.
I never did hear an explanation for that. Did you?
Right.
Barbed wire face in.
Right. But let's see, who's from, there's Pete and Frank Marfia.
I think the fence went up the year after we signed on in September of 60, because I
So it would have been like
there.
September.
That's my recollection. It wasn't there the first year or part of the first year.
Yeah, maybe in the
I'm
summer of,
for that too, because when I joined in 59, it was an open field.
Yeah.
Going to be more and more people walking around there that wasn't us, if you believe, if you understand. So I think they just made the decision to just put up a fence to stop all of that.
Right.
And somehow the conversation, somebody asked at either a staff meeting or some kind of all meeting, why the barbed wire? No, what was the purpose of the barbed wire and at the very top? And the answer I think we got was to help keep neighbors from coming in. But then of course the next question was, why is it facing in and not facing out? I don't think we got a good answer for that.
I remember those conversations, and of course I didn't start with you guys, but my brother did. And I remember the field there, an open field without a fence. So it must have been right about then.
or it could have been, Norb, you said it was there when you graduated.
Definitely.
So it's maybe during the 60, 61 year,
Yeah.
that would have been
It
our
was.
first
It
year.
was, I
Right.
think it was in our second year, Frank. I remember there were a lot of problems with people supposedly drifting out into the hinterlands, like after supper and it was dark and they were supposedly there were problems with that. I can't identify with it, but I think it was around the second or, we came in 59, so it's probably between 60 and 61, right around there.
Well, that would explain that they were indeed trying to keep us in.
That's right, Paul.
Yeah.
No, that is kind of make a lot of sense, but yeah. Well, there were problems for whatever reason, supposedly. I don't recall they ever announced anything about it.
I have no firsthand knowledge.
Say again?
I have no firsthand knowledge of it.
Well, neither do I, except for the what you're talking about at that. But it wasn't even announced, I don't think. It just went up.
That's my thinking too. It showed up one day.
Yeah.
I remember that a couple of times girls would walk right across the athletic field just for the devil.
That's the reason for the fence.
Yeah. But
You can't have girls there. My gosh.
yeah. Frank was hitting all those softballs into the street. And that was a problem.
I kind of vaguely remember when we would go out on approved walks, like on Saturday or Sunday, when we come down the street on the east side, is that Mitchell or something like that? I can't think
Martin.
of Martin, right.
Martin.
That we would sometimes, in those early days, would cut through the woods behind St. Henry's just to get back, save a few steps rather than have to go all the way over to Burton and walk up. That kind of, our collective memories are not what they were in 1960. So that's what I kind of remember too.
Wasn't there a path just inside the fence, a path that you could, a clear path that you could walk on if you wanted to walk inside the property?
Oh.
I never knew. I never got.
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Nobody remembers a path?
Why, were you saying your rosary then, Frank?
No, I just remember that there was, you could get fairly close to the fence without being in woods.
You could get right up
trees
to
around it, but
Well, Frank, I think you might be right. I think that there was a worn path around the whole property in a way.
yeah,
Maybe.
but on the inside of the fence, not on the outside.
No, I understand. I agree with you. That's all I'm saying. That
I remember that, but what I also remember is we were told we couldn't go, before we moved over to St. Henry's, that we couldn't go in the woods and around behind St. Henry's. We had to.
That's
cut
right.
back
Yeah.
in, go the other side of the garage. The other side of the woods.
You had to get, otherwise you'd be tased. I don't know.
I don't remember this, but from your talking, it seems to me that there would have been a path along in that woods before the fence. And once they put the fence up, though, that path would have been on the outside of the fence. Because the fence was pretty close to the open property, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was inside. There were the trees, and then there was, like a lane that just kind of went right around the property. That's what I think Frank is talking about.
I know. Which side of the
I think we
fence?
call that. Pardon me?
Which side of the fence?
Inside.
I remember being
Inside.
able to walk
Inside.
fairly close to the fence on a path on the inside.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe we created our own path by just
Yeah,
walking.
there you go.
Well, I think that might have happened because people would walk around there, and they'd
Sure.
meditate and do other things, I guess, but I don't know.
Yeah, that makes
It was
sense.
those other things that worried Monsignor Shaw, probably.
Yeah.
Besides, a fence there would be perfect for him. He wouldn't have to worry about the outside fringes of the property anymore when he was keeping an eye on us from the stairwell down the. I think, as I recall some of the conversation, that's where he kind of kept an eye on us. He only had to walk a few feet to have from his office or suite or apartment. He only had to walk over to the edge of that stairwell to keep an eye on us.
Well, How would he look outside from there?
The stairwell's at the end of the western side of the building that was
No,
built.
oh, the new stairwell.
Right,
Oh, yeah, not the one we use. Okay, I got you.
right.
You're right. That makes sense. Yeah.
It's Superman, he could see through walls.
Did anybody else have Monsignor Shaw as their spiritual advisor? I did my freshman year. I don't know how he was assigned to me, but maybe because we were both very small people. I'm laughing when I say that, but his attention to me kind of it made me nervous, is what I guess is the best way to say it. Sometimes he would come into the gym that, when we have intramural sports, and he would walk around the outer edge of the gym. And I noticed that if I moved in one direction to keep away from him, it seemed like he was following me.
You could write a book on that, Frank.
I probably could.
Seriously.
And he was
Where's
very,
Waldo?
very interested in the fact that I lost my mother. He always wanted me to talk about my parents in our sessions, but my mother and my father. I don't know what he was trying to get at, but it freaked me out a little bit.
You mentioned he walked around the gym. Did he walk in I remember him walking in the shower room.
Yeah, I do
he
that.
probably did
Yeah.
too.
I should say the locker room. He didn't walk in the shower.
Yeah, I think he poked his head inside the showers.
More than
Kind of-
once. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I must have satisfied something, because I'm pretty sure in my sophomore year in high school, I didn't have him anymore. So
Now that-
I'm hoping
that
I was
brings-
able to rest assured some worry of his that the fact that I only had one parent didn't make me a poor candidate for the priesthood.
I wonder if he was self-assigned, because I don't remember being assigned as spiritual director.
No.
Yeah, were none of you assigned a spiritual director? And
No.
I
No.
I
No,
can't
I mean,
recall it.
I had one, but I chose him.
No, I was assigned Monsignor Shaw that freshman year.
Huh.
Really?
I bet he assigned himself.
And I wasn't super happy about it because of he was very nosy, very pushy
Yes.
with information for me to try to share about my parents.
There's Bill.
Yep.
The other bill.
I'd like to have Bill's phone number.
Sure, I can give you a phone number.
Good.
You ready?
Well,
Ready.
if you read the updates that I keep sending out, his phone number's right there.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind.
It's I don't remember, but give it. Go.
What?
Whatever you want to do.
How many are signed up for the reunion?
Hang on for 1 second. I think I checked that earlier when you sent your earlier message. It's 14.
Oh,
Now-
that's
now,
all.
hang on for a second, and I'll list the people that we've heard. I got Paul Bannard, Jim Blanchard, Norb, Dick Galant, Pete, also known as Don Garthy. I'm counting Bill Gebhard unless he decides not to show up. And then Jim and Kathy Lozer, Frank Marfia, Al and Donna Wamhoff, Jerry Willing, and then me and Diane. That's where we stand as of right now.
Yeah, one more, Bill.
Oh,
Donnelly. Mike
Donnelly?
Donnelly. Yeah, Mike, I talked to him today. He and I are
Oh,
coming.
okay, hang on.
Put
Let me
Mike's
make a,
name down.
I'll make an ad, Donnelly.
Mike Donnelly.
If
I'll make a note in my official records.
If
The
it's worth
official-
anything, if it's worth anything from the experience in 2018, a lot of people, including you guys, younger guys, signed up in the last couple of weeks.
Right.
Right.
I remember that. I was kind of helping you out on that, and all of a sudden,
Okay. Yeah, and a big question was from many of them, are any of my classmates going to be there?
right.
You didn't say Frank Unger, did you?
No, I couldn't make it. Our family, I got a lot of family up in Petoskey and we kind of last February, March, we set up,
Okay.
the family reunion, that kind of thing. Oh, I'd love to come. I went to the last one and it was great,
Yeah.
It's just what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard from like Stas. He's going to be in Chicago for a family event. His brother also responds, and he wasn't able to make it. There was, hang on for a second. Let me see if I can jog my memory. Stan
Murphy.
B. Bill Black, Tom Dalton. Tom, I always forget how to pronounce it. Okapenti?
Akapenny.
Akapenny, right. He's going to be, of all places, in Sardinia.
Oh,
Okay.
So your choice between Battle Creek and Sardinia. There's his number.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
So as long as we're on the general topic, I guess the question that some people said, well, what should I bring or what's needed for this? So I'll turn it over to the other Bill. Is there anything you want folks to bring, or you're going to supply the food, the meat and the beverage, or what? What's the plan?
I'm planning to supply just about everything. I would like just as many as can make it. We'll have, I was thinking things like pulled pork, and if I could find grease bags, I'd get those also, but I'm not sure about that part. And then some of the fixings, there will be plenty of liquid refreshments, both hard and soft.
So you don't need wine or beer or Bill?
I think I'm good with all of that.
Okay.
I think I'm good with
thank
that.
you, Bill.
I'm just looking forward to seeing you guys.
How about desserts?
Well,
Pie?
if you want to bring some dessert, I'm not. I don't think it would diminish anything.
Okay.
Great.
Chairs, you got, it's going to be outdoor, right?
Yeah, well, it will be outdoors if the weather permits. Otherwise, I've got. I'm sitting in a 5-bedroom house with a lot of room, so
Okay.
I can handle it. Whether I've had 50 to 60 people here inside for parties, so I think I can handle whatever comes along.
Sounds good. Great.
Yeah.
I'm just, I will preface it saying I am in the midst of some renovations here, but I will have all of the renovated areas open to the public. There will just be one room and a hallway that is kind of still in construction, but we'll just close the doors and pretend like there.
Just a note, assuming that you use Waze or something like that for routing, that'll take care of it. But the Capitol Avenue exit, that the local overpass, it's still gone, isn't it, Bill?
Yes, if you're coming from the east on 94, you can get off at Capitol. But if you're coming from the west, then it becomes a little more interesting, and you'd have to go past that exit and work your way around. But Waze will show you how to get there, or any of the other. You just tell them to come there, and once you realize you can't get off at that exit, it will reroute you.
Right. Those who are adventuresome and are coming from Grand Rapids, if you take M89 from Plainwell cross country, that brings you in on a pretty easy way to get into Bill's, and avoids Kalamazoo for whatever.
Is Frank Marfia in Wisconsin?
No, I'm in Chicago this week. I've got some doctor appointments. I'm seeing a new specialist for my lung problem next week.
You
So
doing all
I've
right,
been gone for about 6 weeks. I've been in Wisconsin for 6 weeks. We've had tremendously fine weather in northern Wisconsin. I mean, we never hit 90 this summer.
Jeez.
Lots of temperatures in the 70s and mild, not much humidity. So the rest of the nation is baking, it seems, in really hot weather, but northern Wisconsin is not. That doesn't
Are
mean
you
it's,
doing okay, Frank?
yeah, I'm okay. I'm short of breath still when I exert myself, climb stairs, do yard work. I had to mow my lawn today and I was pretty tired. I'm seeing a new lung guy that hopefully he can explain if there's any way to remove whatever the barrier is in my lower lungs.
Ooh.
But my medication seems to be keeping my lung problem in abeyance. Is that the word? It's not getting worse.
Yeah.
It's
Rest. Yeah. It's static.
so I'm still alive. I'm still kicking. We're all in our late 70s now. Or those of us from the class of 60 anyway, we're 76.
Well, I was going to say early 70s. We're less than halfway between 75 and whatever that next
level is.
Next level is.
Were we all pretty much 13 when we started? I mean, when we were in high school, was there anybody who was 14? But thinking back, we were pretty young.
It seems I was born in October of 46. So that would put me just turning 14. And,
after you entered, yeah.
Right. So, boy, I'll tell you, when I see some of those, I forget who it was that sent me their yearbooks. Somebody from, maybe it was 72 or 73 class. When you look at some of these kids, you realize how young we were.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
we look at our grandchildren now who are 13 or 14 and we say, can you believe that we were that age when we went in?
I mean, you're right.
Lord.
And I don't know if all of you feel the same way, but looking back, it was more of a positive experience for me, those 8 years in the seminary, than a negative. Mm-hmm. I still have fond memories of not only the friendships, but I don't know, the whole experience was more positive than negative.
I would agree. I would agree. Yep.
Yep.
When you look back at I think it was 2018, and let's see, Norb said he had to sign off at right about this time. But that last time that we had a get together, where was it? The school and church.
Oh,
do you remember that?
St. Peter's and Paul.
Right.
Peter and Paul. Yeah.
Right. When you look back at the turnout for that one, I mean, that was just incredible, the number of people who were able to make it, because we didn't have Zoom in those days. And
didn't have COVID either.
Right. So that was one of the rare opportunities. The only one at that point, Norb had these, and some of his classmates had some of these get-togethers with a couple of the years right around them, the guys that they knew. I mean, that kind of shows, I think, how we had collectively felt about our experience there. I mean, there were one guy in particular that was really upset about his experience, but I would agree that overall it was we were minds to be shaped, and it worked on some of us. So
I think that Dennis Morrrow had a lot to do with that too, because he knew a lot of people and he was kind of open to, ingratiate everyone. And the thing that impressed me about Dennis is that when he passed in Grand Rapids about a little over a year, I think, or so after we had the get together, they televised the funeral on WOD, the local TV station. I never heard of that. So
I don't know that it was on TV. It was on Zoom, I think, and I recall hosting Dennis was in my class.
okay.
There were 14 guys in my class on my Zoom that day. So we were able to watch the funeral together. I mean, just like
Well, that was nice, but it was just the fact that I think that was a factor. And I think that, one thing, if we have someone that represented kind of St. Joe's, if you will, I think that would help attract people more because we all can identify with that person or so. I don't know, but he had a special talent and, he's probably resting in heaven smiling because he was really gracious to people throughout his life.
Didn't he die during the pandemic?
yes, that's why they Zoomed his funeral.
That was probably the reason for the Zoom,
They,
because people
Could not
couldn't attend.
yeah, we could not attend the funeral. I mean, they had a very small group, the bishop and priests, and I think that was basically it.
Okay.
But they did a good job of putting it out. And as I said, we picked it up on Zoom, and I was able to sit and we had our class, 14 of us together, just like this. With
That's something. That's really something.
oh, yeah.
I do recall the local TV coverage of not the entire funeral ceremonies, but I guess his body was taken on horseback or by a horse-pulled wagon
carriage.
Right.
An old fire department carriage.
Right, that's what it was, right. I mean, he was very highly respected in the police department and the fire department, especially.
His dad was a fireman.
And he was
he was a chaplain for the fire department.
Right,
Wasn't
yeah,
he?
that's why, yeah.
Yeah. I think I have that somewhere on the website, probably in that section called back issues of the updates when he passed away. I remember capturing that from the, I think it was WOTV or is it
WOOD.
Yeah, it's so many of those stations have changed their
Not
call
that one.
signs.
That's kind of a flagship that's been there forever, since television started in Grand Rapids.
Right.
And that's where Father Behan, he had a connection, and his sister. So he had the Mass, which was kind of a revolution then. And he also had he was very good. I liked him. He had a show on Sundays called 15 with Father.
Yeah.
And it was very effective. I mean, he was a very good speaker and had a really nice voice, and he was an asset.
That I recall even before it being in the seminary, watching the Sunday Mass on that channel.
Right.
It used to be in the TV in their studio, and I was there several times. I was the first lay person to read the gospel, the epistles there. I remember.
Wow.
And that was probably when I was in 8th grade. So you guys would have been in 2nd year at St. Joe's.
Now I can remember being an altar boy for that, but I can't remember whether that was during the seminary years.
Yes, you were. That's what had happened, Bill. Because we would each week, 2 people would go and be servers for the Mass.
I recall whoever the director of the program was saying, "Now don't look at the cameras." And of course, all the altars are, "Where's the camera?" Or, "Oh my gosh, wonder how I look."
Can I change the subject here? Excuse me, because Donald Pete Garthy, are you there? Because I don't
I'm
see you.
here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, I talked to Frank. This will involve you too. This is a book. I don't know if you're inclined, but it has. I'll give you the background. It's called The 272. Subtitle: The Families Who Were Enslaved and Sold to Build the American Catholic Church. That's the subtitle. The lady is Rachel L. Swarns, Swarns. And the reason I bring it up is because it basically talks about the Jesuits that were in Georgetown. And also, I don't know if any of you that were in Baltimore, maybe you've been there, but the Eastern Shore area, it was where they grew the tobacco. And the Jesuits had plantations there, and they owned the slaves. And they used in the building this up, the seminary St. Mary's is mentioned in this book a few times. And they used some money, I don't know, there was some combinations in there. It focuses almost exclusively on the Jesuits, but it taught as far as that portion of it. But and it talks about how they, I don't know what the right word is, worked with the slaves as far as it was more of a family thing, but the struggle for the Jesuits was to have enough money to survive, for Georgetown to survive. So eventually, this started in 1730s or something like that. And I found out the date, I was wrong, it's 1791. And this is the first seminary in the United States when the St. Mary's was built. 1791. I thought it was 95. But as time went on, like in the mid 1800s, the slaves were sold through a deal that kind of went down. They went to Louisiana. And but it tells the story of all of that happening in the interaction and what the slaves were doing and what the Jesuits were doing and how they, the slaves moved down there. This particular lady is I think she's a professor at New York University. I think it's a well-written book. I've listened to most of it on tape, and it's not set in a sense of being vindictive, and that's getting back or anything. It's just kind of explaining what happened and what was going on, because there was an argument. For instance, they'll tell the Jesuits that the attitudes of the Jesuits themselves in whether they should sell the slaves and how they should treat them and that part of the thing. But one of the major factors, think about this is like the 1790s, 1800s, that the Jesuits were pushing in that area, that they felt. Now they were in the rural part of Maryland, between the Atlantic Ocean and Baltimore, and all that other part in there. And they wanted to go to the major cities and work with major cities. So think about this. University of Detroit, Jesuit. Loyola University, Chicago. Philadelphia, I don't know. And think of where all the Loyolas are. There's a Loyola in New Orleans. But they wanted to start their ministry. They wanted to move it to big cities and not stay in the rural area. And they were trying to, as I said, build colleges, Jesuit colleges in the big cities. And it tells about how they've used the money or try to get the money to do all that. It's kind of interesting, but St. Mary's, as I said, is mentioned. And what I didn't realize is that I think it's John Carroll, who was the first bishop in the United States. It was in Baltimore, but he somehow started Georgetown. However, before that happened, it's an interesting story. I don't know if you could see this very well, but I actually was at this site. This is in the area that you can't, there you go. You can, this is the church that was built. There was a deal held. Remember Mary, Mother, Blessed Virgin is the patroness of the United States, and it's called Maryland. And it was due to the fact that the king was a buddy of Calvert, I think, Lord Calvert, who was Irish. And so, but he worked a deal, he being Calvert and the king, to be able to set up the plantation system, just like they have. Remember you've heard of perhaps the tea companies in Ireland? I'm sorry, not Ireland, forget what I said. India. In other words, the king kind of controlled the land, but a deal he made with the king, and Calvert was Catholic, was that he wanted that they could worship. They had freedom of worship. In other words, they didn't have to worship in the English church, and the king allowed it. So in that church, which is among that plantation that I showed you, they had to be 100 feet or 100 yards, I can't remember, from, it was isolated from the plantation. So that church, there you can see still the walkway that separated the plantation from the church. That it stands, and I saw a plaque on there that basically said that all faiths are welcome, can worship in the United States. And it's an incredibly significant, agreement, if you will, for worship in that. And this is right around the time, let me see, get all the dates right. I think 1770. Yeah, this started before the Revolutionary War, and then the Constitution being signed and everything in the United States. So incredible amount of history. And just in case
title
you're
of the book is
interested,
272?
272, Pete.
The 272.
I don't know if you can see this very well.
Yeah, okay, I see it.
And then it's Rachel L. Swarns. Rachel L. Swarns. She somehow was doing a study, and she's a journalist professor at New York University and a contributor to the New York Times. But she somehow was doing a study, and she found Michelle Obama's heritage, and ran the genealogy with that family also. So
there's actually another history of the Sulpicians and the slaves, and there's a big article, but I can't get it online. It's in some Catholic history magazine or something. A Sulpician did the history about the slaves with the Sulpicians and how they met in the basement of the church in Paca Street. Very ambivalent. They had slaves, but then they also were sheltering them in the chapel at St. Paca Street. So that was very interesting too. And I would love to get my hands on that whole article. But anyway,
if you
same
get
history
it,
as with the Jesuits, probably.
They do mention the Sulpicians kind of peripherally because it's really focused on the Jesuits. But there must have been some connection between St. Mary's and Georgetown in the this is in the 1790s or so, a little bit before that too.
Very good. Yeah, I'll look for that 272.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Paul, did you get that? I don't see you. Paul?
I got the information.
Okay, good.
I haven't researched in that area. I'm way.
Well, that's all right.
I'm focused on what's going on now.
No, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure you knew, that's all.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah.
So,
I made a couple notes.
good, good.
Well, for me, that kind of raises a question of what was the Catholic Church doing in the South during, the Civil War and before the antebellum period and the Reconstruction. We know that, at least I believe, the Klan was anti-Catholic.
Right.
But that could be the Klan of the 1920s and through to today. But does anybody have any other source about whether there was any official or unofficial tolerance of slavery in this country as a whole? Or was it another one of these don't ask, don't tell?
You mean the
through
connection between the Catholic Church and slavery?
Right. What was their position, if there was one, there
Well,
being the church in general?
Well, I can give you maybe some inkling, but it's not a very good one. Is that when this goes back to when the countries are coming kind of to the United States, and they the Pope. This is interesting. The Pope. This was when in the time of Thomas Aquinas. It called Thomas, and he wanted him to write a treatise about about converting Indians and others in the how the church should position this, and Thomas Aquinas was in the process of beginning to write that, and then he died. But think about this. Think of the things that have happened in the Canadian government with the what do you call it, the schools that they had and how those were run. And think about some interesting things regarding Northern New York and the Jesuits that, trying to think, what's the Canisius? Peter Canisius was almost like a pope in that area, in his power. And and how the Catholic Church thrived right in that Northern New York area, and then there's the river, and then there's towards Montreal. And the French, and the attitudes of the French, you had different people too, Bill. You had the Spanish and the French and the English. And the English were trying to push the English church and how they handled that. That's not a very good answer, but it's a, start of it. Did you find something, Peter?
No, I was just, I was going to leave, save our talk for next week at Bill's house,
Okay, that's fine. That sounds good.
so we don't exhaust all our topics.
Yeah, okay.
Go too. Well, good to see you guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, really.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good, Ed. Are you going to be there?
No, not, I've got a granddaughter I got to take care of.
Oh, can I ask a question, please?
Sure.
What's the status of your brother? I don't know.
Oh, Bob died in 2014.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, he had lymphoma for a number of years, went through a full transplant, bone marrow transplant. We went through lots and lots of treatments, and he did everything he could, but couldn't fight it. So,
All I know too is that your sister Carol really helped my dad at Blanchard when he had his ostomy, and he never forgot that. This is quite a while back. My dad's passed, so. And she was, I don't know, a classmate or so of my sister. So,
well, Carol she's been retired, what, a year or so now.
okay.
We get together regularly with the rest of the family.
Well, it's still,
I was with Bob's widow this past weekend. We were in Washington, in DC, is where he had spent his career. My sister was with the hospital and just retired. But Englewright Lake, if any of you know it, near Sand Lake, about 15 miles north of Grand Rapids.
Just to refresh my memory, was Bob in the graduating class of 1966, or had he left like a year or two before?
He left probably in March of that year. So he didn't quite graduate. Was there over 5.5 years.
All right, guys. We will see you, rain or shine, on the 16th. I'm looking at
Have
my
fun.
yes, Wednesday. Wednesday.
At 1 o'clock, Bill?
One will work whenever you get here when you can.
Okay.
But everything will be ready by that time.
Okay.
I thought it was at noon.
Yeah,
It could be at noon works, and I was looking at noon as kind of
It's the start
having
time.
a start
How long
time.
are we welcome to stay? 6?
I've got extra bedrooms. You can stay all night.
He's got 5 rooms.
Yeah, he's got 5.
Bye, guys. Have fun.
Yeah. We will.
Okay, guys.
I know.
As late as you all want to stay, stay.
That's very kind.
Well, I'm sorry there, Bill, you know. I'd have liked to,
Would have liked to seen you, Frank.
maybe next time.
Yeah, let's make this an annual event.
Yeah.
It sounds good to me.
Okay. I'm gonna sign off too.
All right.
Okay, see you then.
We'll see you next week, guys.
I'll be there.
Take care.
All right.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Be safe.
Mm-hmm.